needed all the clever bits. No, I always wanted to do that. Always wanted to do it like this. I always wanted to do sort of the human story, the relationship, the wide-eyed birth of America, and yeah. So no, I tried my best, and
well, you did an amazing job, all of you. Elijah, I wanted to ask, how much research do you yourself as an actor put into a role like this?
Good question. I didn't do a ton of research. I mean, I started the process, but there's actually very little information available about John Malcolm Brennan historically. So I started, but I kept finding that.
Really?
Yeah, there's not a whole lot of information about him. He was relatively private. You know, there's a book that he wrote, and so there's a lot of him that comes through in Dylan Thomas in America. Particularly, it's a little sycophantic. He was very much in love with his subject and the time that they had together. There was a sort of romanticism. So I gleaned a lot of it from that, you know, from the essence of his love of Dylan Thomas and his love of the work and of what that person was to him, and then ultimately the disappointment of what he really was and what he then had to sort of manage in regards to getting him over there and how that sort of fractured the relationship. So I took everything from that. Beyond that, historically, after that, it was very difficult to find who the man was. It wasn't very revealing.
Is that perhaps a bit more fun for you as an actor when you have to actually put your own, you know, you figure that out yourself rather than following things that we read on Wikipedia or whatever? You know, you have to put a good bit of yourself in there. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, I also think the framework that Andy and Kel created was quite a lot, and it was also it was a collaboration. I feel like getting to Swansea, which was home for us, making this film, and the days that we spent prior to actually shooting were instrumental in the creation of the relationship between these characters. And really, for me, my character came alive in the relationship that he has to Dylan Thomas, if that makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, it's interesting. This man died alone. You know, it says that he died in Key West, Florida. He was alone. Like, he didn't really have any family at the end of his life. And I think that's also very telling. He was kind of a solitary individual.
Yeah. Andy or Karen, I wonder, could you talk to us like a wee bit about the title? Because it's from the poem, all right?
yeah, it's from the poem "Love Me Fine." And we always wanted to take a line from one of Dylan's poems. And it was just a hope and over set by the stars. I think we remember saying, "I'll find that as a title for anything."
Yeah.
You know, an album or whatever. It's just so visually evocative.
Yeah, it is.
And yeah, and it just had a kind of I don't know, there's a full momentum and energy in that title. It's like a cool song.
It lends itself.
Yeah, it lends itself to the kind of one we wanted to make. Yeah.
And I excuse my ignorance, but is the poem written for his wife? Do we know this?
Yeah, I think so. Jeff?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I couldn't even find that out. You know, definitively, I couldn't find that out.
I always like counter interpretation of it. It seems a lot tragic, but
Yeah. Yeah. Shall we open up, see if anyone's got questions? We can't see. I say this
I will be tuned.
but if it's not on, you can't see us. So if there is a hand going up, can you make a noise? Like a mouse?
We'll use that on location.
I don't want to miss anyone. Anybody? Yeah? Hello.
It's just to say I really enjoyed the film, and but aside from being quite an emotional sort of laying out of both the characters, both Dylan Thomas and John Brennan, just from the writing and directing viewpoint, which character were you actually hoping to lay bare to the audience and during the filmmaking? Because both characters seem to have equal weight apportioned to them for storytelling point of view. But as I can say, an actor which one went on the more strident journey, the healing journey, do you think, by the end of it?
I think John. I century was always John, the greater journey that is very much a changed man at the end of the night. And we kind of like the perverse idea that Dylan as a character in that film kind of doesn't change, really. He's a catalyst for John's journey, but John is very much like the mice of the story. John is very effective, John is very there. He has a greater journey. And we always felt as much as possible we wanted to film the story through John's vehicle.
But part of that journey obviously is Kevin and Stephen as well, and the journey, you're part of that journey, you're people they meet. Do you mind talking about your characters or research that you did? The acting doesn't want to do this, I'm afraid now. But research that you did, I mean, playing real people, anybody want to take it?
Well, I found out a little bit about Stanley and Shirley, and they met at Syracuse University in the early 40s. Stanley was a literary critic, and Shirley was a superb novelist who wrote a very famous book called House on Haunted Hill, which Stephen King has cited as kind of seminal horror novel of the 20th century. And they had a very interesting relationship in that it was the old guard in those days. He sat there and did all his working. She not only wrote her novels, but also looked after 3 kids, did all the shopping. He was a swine. He was horrible to her. Yeah, there's a famous story of they lived out in this town, miles from anywhere. She'd go down to the store one day, she was coming up the hill with all these bags, and he ran all the way down the hill, got the paper that he needed, and then ran all the way back up. He was an absolute swine. So it was nice to see in this, because she was his equal, if not better. It was nice to see the fact that she kind of, it's kind of inferred that something went on there. And there was an actual meeting where this meeting did happen when they went supposedly to get away from everything, and Shirley and Dylan really got on. Whether they got it on, we don't know. I think they did. But what I liked about the couple was that they're a very good demonstration of the fact that Dylan Thomas was one of these kind of guys who just, no matter where he went, he carried a party around with it. It was in his environment, chaos and good times, and we all know people like this. And so, whereas John thought he was getting away from it all, well, he was with Dylan Thomas. So out of the ether were going to come these two, and this crazy kind of night, and that's just the kind of the energy that he carried around with him. So I think that was I saw that as the main function of those characters, even though it was based on a real life meeting.
I have a question. Yeah, we've got one down here, yeah.
When you were writing, what did you have in mind as John? Did you think of an answer? Or
Yes.
That was a third choice. I promised them it would be better than the first choice.
Truthfully, halfway through sort of bashing the keys on this, Andy phoned me up and he went, I can only see Elijah Wood playing John. He said, I was like, brilliant idea, fantastic actor. How many wishes have we got left in the lap? And I said, this film is in existence because the incredible team that attracted to this project on both sides of the camp. In 3 weeks we have our anniversary, our 1-year anniversary from when we came together with the producers to do this. So
that's remarkably fast.
Yeah.
Movies do not get made that quickly.
So it does not happen.
I call it ball in the bag filmmaking.
And the cinematography is fantastic, isn't it?
There you go.
Makeup and costume, Andrea and Francisco are both involved. And the whole team and Swansea sort of came together to do it. And it's important to sort of cite that because it's not just by fluke. It's actually because a load of really talented people got behind it and managed to do it with no money and no time and a lot of love. And you know, and I think that really shines through. You know, it's a really good example of what can happen. But yeah, we ran out of wishes, and they just kept coming. And then Stephen McIntosh said yes, and Kevin Eldon said yes, and Shirley Henderson, and Kelly Riley, you know, and Griff, you know. You know.
Terry Wogan turned it down.
And when did you shoot Kelly? That's interesting too.
Yeah.
I was actually reading on the film and what an impact she had. She made it. She is brilliant.
She
brilliant
tears
actress.
up the screen.
I mean, that's
Incredible.
Incredible. Oh yeah. What was the thinking behind her coming? Because I fully expected to hear Dylan Thomas read the letter or the sort of lip sync with it, and then she appears and that scene was just great.
Yeah.
What was the thinking behind that? She's a great actress.
She's a mate. And she's a really good mate. And I know she always wanted to play Kate. And when we wrote it, she had a few near misses, and she's being a big movie star. And I was like, will Kelly come? Because the whole idea of it was, we had this smoking gun element which came through, you know. This poor man's process which Kelly came out, you know, gave the film its energy and its style. Isn't that right?
Yeah, absolutely. I think with the Caitlin thing, Caitlin is so sort of central fabric within the story, and yet in that trip in 1950, she never went with him. And we were just trying to think outside the box of how we could kind of crowbar Caitlin into the story. And it just seemed that the letter was such a smoking gun element, as Kel said, that when that letter was opened, it is like the genie in the bottle. And when we get yeah, that is true. That is true. He had the letter, and he never opened it for many
Oh, so
many
that,
years.
he actually,
Yeah. And I suppose I think once we pinpoint the idea that once she appeared to him, that abstraction actually kind of just opened the doors to many other things, just the tone of the film. But it allowed us to give it a license, not to kind of make it conventional. You know, there is a lot of effort, but not kind of formally relevant costume by a singer. So once we have this idea of what if Caitlin is there, you know, visible only to Dylan, you know. So in a way, it's kind of technically not Caitlin, it's the memory of Caitlin. And by extension, it allows us to kind of, I think that informs the tone of the film. Just some of the sort of remarks about this kind of sweet and human habit and it kind of, it was a bit of a game changer.
Yeah, I mean, and it needed to be an actress like Kelly to play that. You know, we're waiting for her. You know, we had the Iceman coming, you know. She appears. You know, and also the attraction to Dylan, this story, it's attraction to, I love the way that, you know, I grew up in the docks in North Wales, and I saw a picture of Dylan Thomas, and I thought, wow, you don't look like what my brain's telling me a poet should look like. And then I get into the words, and the words, I understand them for the first time, that's my link, and that's the first seed thing. And that's where it came about, the way he gravitates towards. We talked about, you know, John walks into a diner, and he sees a waitress and a drunk, and two mad old ladies. But Dylan walks into a diner and sort of sees broken dreams, or people with a story. And so, all in all, through this, we want to see what the married Dylan's like, what the, you know, spectrum is like.
yeah. We were ready at the time out, Simon, but I wonder if someone wants to ask one last question, and Michael's going to kill me. So.
Good thing about all this.
Yeah, we've got 1 year, and then that's us.
It's a game of pocket.
Yeah. So,
It's not a question, I think it's already been said by Andy and by Elijah. This film's probably made because this year's Dylan Thomas centenary.
Well, there was that as well.
But what's more important, I think, because I went to see John Malcolm Brilliant before he died, and this film really repositions him, because after his book he was vilified and he fled. You know, he left, like you said, he became alone. And this film, I think, puts him back where he was, because he was so crucial to Dylan Thomas's life. Sadly, he was inadvertently crucial to his death, but the film doesn't show that. We just see what he did to get Dylan to America in a bigger audience. So I think it's great that Malcolm Brinion is another star of this film.
Yeah.
Yeah. Posthumously, it's kind of a lovely thing. Because he did sort of, he shrunk down, and Caitlin was really upset with him as well.
Oh, really?
With the book. The thing that he revealed, it was a real tell-all. It was a, he'd had this experience with him, and this was from his perspective, and he took a lot of flack for it. To a certain degree, it's understandable, but he also did so much for him as well, and loved him, and so yeah, that's a beautiful thing to say. It's a great position, yeah.
Listen, we're going to have to let these guys go, but please, all of you join me in thanking these guys.